Today I'm going to use Pattern Maker and some basic black dots to make interesting patterns that repeat themselves. There are different ways that I can make patterns. I can use the swatches panel and drag multiple objects into it. I'm just making duplicates of things using Option click and drag, select all, drag into the swatches panel. Move those aside. Create a new shape with my rectangle tool. My artboard is square, so I'm just going to make a square shape and select the new pattern I made. And it will repeat it. That's one way, and it works for certain things. Another option is to use something called Object Pattern Make. So I'm going to take one of my dots, and I always drag everything off my artboard and onto the pasteboard because I don't want stuff to show. I only want the pattern to show. But I'm going to start with this one dot, Option click and drag. Not planning this. This is all random, nothing fancy. Just Option click and drag. Maybe I duplicate those. Actually, I don't even have to, but I've got everything. I clicked and dragged to select everything. Now I'm going to go to Object, Menu. I did not pre-plan this. There's Pattern and Make. It's simple. Once I click OK, I am thrown into pattern isolation mode. If I'm happy with the way that this looks, I can leave it, or I can resize it. Hey. Rotate it. Duplicate it. Again, I'm not doing anything fancy. It's just Option click and drag. I'm constraining proportions by holding down the Shift key and rotating by hovering over the corners of the bounding box. Thinking about the negative and positive space of my composition. I don't know if I feel like that's a little blank and I don't want it to be. Maybe I'll Option click and drag that into it. Whatever I make using the pattern maker repeats itself like wallpaper. So I'm going to name that pattern and call it whatever I decide to call it. I have a choice of grid. I'm working with tile type grid for this one. I also have the choice of brick by row, brick by column, hex by column, hex by row. They're fun to play with depending on what your pattern is looking like. I have the option of sizing the tile to the art. Mine's unchecked because I don't want to do that. I can also move the tile with the art if I think I need to, and there are other options down here. I can change the size and width of the tile. Width is first, height is next. Mine is an uneven size. Sometimes I make things square if I think the repeat is not going to work. I can change a lot of things. So my tile's been named. It's up here in the pattern maker. I'm just going to hit the little arrow up here to exit pattern editing mode, grab my select tool and casually move that off of the artboard, grab my rectangle tool, and I want to see all of my artboard. Hold down Shift to constrain proportions, drag out a square, and fill it with my new pattern. So, wallpaper, using the pattern maker. So 2 different ways. Just swatches panel, drag something into it, it'll repeat, or for more complex patterns, from object pattern make with the pattern maker.